Hi guys!
Hi!
We're back for our third vlog. The last time we did our vlog on our way to Nannup, which is like a century ago it feels like. So we thought it was time to catch you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about the rest of our road trip and what we're currently doing and what we're going to do after this. So let's start with the road trip. We left off in Nannup.
We went to, like you said, it was a century ago.
Yeah, so we were on our way to Nannup. So we just saw all the beaches on the coast, and then we headed land inwards a little bit to explore something else.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Airbnb where we didn't have any Wi-Fi and we went back in time.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. That was a surprise.
When I was booking the Airbnbs, I was just looking for the location and the price, and I never saw that it didn't have Wi-Fi, so that was a...
Yeah, but it was good for a change. We did some talking.
You're still recovering from that.
But the other part was that shops closed at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So we arrived at 3 or 2 or something, so we had to get back into the, what they call town.
Yeah.
It's just a few buildings. So one thing we learned is post offices are really popular here, not only for post and sending letters, but also for getting money.
Yep.
That's something we learned. You see them everywhere. So if you need money or have issues with money, just go to a post office.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the area around Nannup is quite different from the coast. We took the time to go see some kauri trees, huge trees, either in height or in diameter. We went to a mine lookout, which was really surprising because we started doing the mine hike, and then about 15 minutes in, the trail was closed. So we were very disappointed, and we're like, well, we'll just go take a look at the lookout point. It won't be anything spectacular. And then we got there and it was really spectacular. So after Nannup, we headed down south. We went to Albany, Denmark. It was a lot of fun, very surprising. When we drove down from Nannup to Albany, we passed Denmark, but it's a long drive. It's 4 hours, and we already stopped at some waterfalls, and we stopped at another tree. So we didn't have time to stop in Denmark, but the next day we were very lucky with the weather. Greenspool and Elephant Rock is amazing. I think that's one of the most surprising things we saw during the road trip.
Oh, the food factory.
And the food factory, of course.
It's a local store run by a former chef, and he created all kinds of, what do you call them, sauces? Not really. Condiments. All kinds of strange sounding flavors, but they really work. And he's in for a small talk. We had a good talk, not only about what he's selling, but also about COVID and how they survived. Yeah. We learned a lot about what happened here during COVID, that even the states were closed. So Western Australia was Western Australia, and they had to survive on their own.
From Albany, we drove to Esperance. That was the longest stretch of the road trip. It was about 5 hours. Very deserted, no detours, only gas stations every 100 kilometers or something like that. So it was a long drive. Esperance itself, we didn't really find that interesting, but near Esperance you have the Great Ocean Drive, and that was a lot of fun. It's only 40 kilometers, but there's a lot of beaches, a lot of lookouts, a pink lake that isn't pink and won't be pink, so don't get fooled by the name Pink Lake. It's just very white.
Go human race.
Yeah. When I was reading up on this road trip and I read the Pink Lakes, people said that sometimes it's pink, you just have to be lucky, but this lake used to be pink, but then they built a train road and they did development, and now the water is totally changed, so it will never be pink again, but it's still called Pink Lake.
Yeah. So from Esperance we went to Norseman, but it was a semi-small drive, I think. Wasn't that bad. More desertly environment, and Australian desert in these parts of Australia is more like bushes and trees. Before we entered Norseman, we saw a sign, scenic route. So we hit the brakes and turned right, and the scenic road was more like a dirt road. And the first part we were like, what is this? Is this the right way? Because it was not really a road. It turns out to be a road through mining history.
Yeah.
It has 10 stops, And each stop has a sign that tells you what it is. But also you can see old mine shafts.
Yeah.
At the end of the trail, we got some rain. And all of a sudden we saw some guys putting up a sign, road closed.
Yeah.
So I think we were very lucky.
Yeah. And when we got to our motel, we learned that even to this day, mining is still a very important part in Norseman. I think she said there's like 8 or 9 active mines, and all the hotels and motels have to give some rooms to people working at the mines. We had trouble finding accommodation, and well, that's why. Yeah, again, we got some stories about COVID and how that affected the town. There used to be a lot of stores, and now there's only 4 left or something like that.
Yep.
So talking to the locals gives you a little bit of insight in what happened over here when we were going through the same thing. It's interesting.
But then we went further up.
Yep.
To Calgary, big mining town, Calgary. When we arrived, we went to this great pit, mining
Super
pit,
pit.
the super pit. You can drive up. It doesn't look like you can enter. It looks a bit strange, but we saw other people drive as well, so we just went. And it's a really nice lookout over a really big pit, like a super pit. You can see trucks driving up and down with material, ground materials. It's still active. It gives a lot of information about why and how. The town itself thrives on the mining, because I think 90% of the people are involved with the mining, and 9% is people not involved with mining, and 1% are tourists. And we read something about flying doctors. So we were like, oh, like the series, we're from that time. It turns out it's not about the flying doctors, the TV show, it's about the real flying doctors. And there was a real big exhibit on the airport, but they closed it down because of COVID, and now they have a really small exhibit in the tourist information.
Yeah, and so the only good thing about the flying doctors thing is we went to the visitor center to ask about it, thinking they would know, and they did. And even though that wasn't there, we got a map, and she's like, oh, you can go here, you can go there, this is interesting. So that was fun. So when we left Calgary, we still had to drive to Maureen Rock, which is where we found an accommodation. And because we were watching our budget, I found a tent, and I said to Kenji, thinking he would say no, like, I found a tent, and he said, yes, let's do that. So now we're staying
Didn't
in the tent.
expect that one.
No.
So finally we arrived at the tent, which is a really big tent with a deck, barbecue, so you can warm up water and stuff. I want to say bathroom, but it's more like a shed with a shower.
Yeah.
And Dixie.
Yeah.
So in the distance we heard some sheep, and the guy was like, don't worry about them, it's a 500-acre land, they won't find you. So we had some dinner, which was a salad and noodles.
Yep.
And it was okay, it was nice. It's really dark.
Yeah.
It was a bit cloudy and the moon was up, so not much stars. Next morning, I think it was 4:30, we were woken up by sheep.
It was a nice setup. It was a nice way of waking up. We slept well. It was comfy and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't take a shower because I'm not doing that, and that was a good thing because I was just making our lunch to go, and then Kenji's calling me, "There's a spider!" And it was like, really, it was like this.
With the legs.
Yeah.
So without the legs, it was like this. The night before, when we talked to the owner of the tent, I asked if we could get a tour around his farm. Reason, there is a wildlife sanctuary. So when we arrived, we saw a car from the mining company, and we got out the car, and the guy, Ron, came out the house, and he told us that a small kangaroo was just brought in. The mother was hit by a car, and the small one was wounded as well, so it needed some help.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They receive kangaroos, small ones, big ones, and they try to patch them up together with some vets. And when they're strong enough, they will be brought back into the wild. It's not only the kangaroos they help. We saw some emus, chickens, birds. They have birds inside the house.
Yeah.
Stone owl and a colored one. I don't remember which one. And
Like a parakeet or something.
Yeah.
They warned us when we entered the house, like there's a bird flying around, don't be scared if it sits on you. And of course, it sat on my shoulder, like within seconds.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a good thing they warned
Because you're
about that.
always making friends with animals.
I know.
We also saw some emus.
Yeah.
2 big ones and a small one who was freaking out. Have you
Yeah.
ever saw an emu run? It's hilarious. Some chickens,
Yeah.
goats,
Yeah.
and Molly, the sheep.
The sheep. Yeah.
I think Molly had an identity crisis because she was acting like a dog. Ron got her out of the cage and she was just following us around, and when we called her, she would just come. 2 ponies. Most beautiful part about this is it's a couple, Ron and Laura. They do it by themselves, and the whole story and the passion about what they do and how they do it is just beautiful.
Yeah, we learned a lot, and yeah, it's very admiring what they do and how they do it. And yeah, with the mines all around them, they get a lot of animals from the mines. They also get some funding from the mines, but they put a lot of their own money in there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really something special. I wasn't expecting that. So
Yeah, so I think for me it was the highlight of the whole road trip to see and learn and hear about what they do.
yeah, so then there was just one stretch left back to Perth. We took a little bit of a detour, and our Airbnb was just outside of Perth. We had to hand in the car the next day. So yeah, the road trip itself, it was very surprising. We saw a lot of different sights from Australia. We saw the beaches, the trees, the mining. So all in all, I think it was a good road trip. Hi, Petrie.
You hear beaches, Petrie beaches. Yeah, so now we're actually still in Perth, doing house sitting. Yeah, we're actually babysitting Petrie and Gidget.
Yes.
Gidget is blind
And she's sleeping.
and she's sleeping. She's always sleeping. Petrie is also a bit different.
Don't forget about the chickens either.
Oh, we have 3 thick chickens as well.
Yeah.
So we have fresh eggs every day. Well,
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
which is convenient because
I don't need
eggs. Yeah, so we're house sitting now for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Benefits: it doesn't cost us any accommodation money.
Yeah.
You do have to get some groceries. They are really expensive here. So
Mm.
for 3 days we're almost paying 100 Australian dollars for food,
Yeah.
which includes dinner, breakfast, lunch, drink.
Yeah, it's still cheaper than going out, but
Yeah.
the beginning of the trip we've basically been on budget or over budget, and with this house sitting we want to try to get under budget.
Yeah, so we have a whole house to ourselves. It's really nice to have some type of home base now. And
Yeah, so this house sit is just until before Christmas, and we have another house sit after that to get us over the holidays because everything is so expensive and tickets were expensive. So now we have 2 small dogs, and then we have 1 big dog with a lot of energy that needs to...
and these dogs don't do anything unless they get some food.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have to wait and see how that goes. Yeah, and so after our house sitting, after our next house sitting in January, we're going back to Asia, and we're going to Thailand to actually do some traveling and hopefully spend a little less money.
Well, the funny thing is, when we were in Australia looking for accommodations, I usually set the filter to 0 to 50 euros per night, and I couldn't find anything in Australia. Now in Bangkok, we found a hotel, and I was looking for hotels in Bangkok, and I set the filter to 0 to 50, and now we have problems choosing one because there are a few hundred you can choose from.
So that sums up our road trip and our house sitting adventures and what we're going to do in the future. We'll keep you posted. We'll try to get this up on YouTube as fast as possible. At least we have internet now, so that's no longer an excuse. It's not that great, but still it's working. If you haven't done so, check out our TikToks or YouTube shorts. There's a lot to see and learn about our road trip as well. And we're also posting of our daily adventures.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I think it's time to say goodbye for now.
Yep.
Right. See you next time.
Okay, see you next time.
Bye.